Hi there. So you're joining me live on the sun today. It's been a while since I've had the solar scope on the go. I thought I'd take the opportunity while I was tearing down the rig and swapping over the scopes. I don't know what that was that just went by. I think it was a bird. I don't know what the audio sounds like. Does it sound okay? I think I've got audio on. So the scope today is the Lunt LS80MTB1800C. So that's the 80mm modular telescope with the solar module installed on it with a single pressure tuner, and I'm using the B1800 blocking filter. And the camera is the ZWO ASI-174 mono planetary camera, and it's resting on top of the Celestron CGX mount. Hi there DLM. Yeah, it's a specialist solar scope, so you wouldn't be able to do that normally. It's got high energy rejection filters and various things inside it to facilitate looking directly at the sun. As you know, you do that with a normal camera, or look at it with a pair of binoculars or through a telescope with your eye, you would immediately, more than likely, be blinded. So there's a little bit of activity, well, there's quite a bit of activity on the sun today. If we scroll back up to the top of the sun, if I get my scope controls right, we've got another large sunspot in the centre of the sun, and right up at the top of the sun there's another area of high activity, as you can see here. And round the bottom of the disk there is some noticeable flares or prominences, whatever you want to call them. And along the middle of the sun there on the right hand side we can also see, I go the wrong way, there's quite a bit of surface activity and all these filaments. But right down at the bottom, if I screw the gain right up on the scope, or on the camera I should say, we've got quite a large ejection coming off the bottom of the sun. And round the disk, what else have we got on the edge? A large bit of activity there on the left. I've got the 2x Barlow on the scope as well today. That's why we're not seeing the full disk in one image. There we go, full disk event. So I've been playing around with a piece of software called Astrosurface. This is actually the ASI capture tool within the ASI studio. But I've been playing around with Astrosurface to try and do some of the processing. Normally I would use Registax and AutoStacker, but one of my viewers 2 nights ago when I was live on Jupiter, he sent me a message the next day when I mentioned that Registax wasn't working on this laptop, telling me about Astrosurface, which I'd never heard before. And this is one of the earlier captures just before I started the stream, on how it managed to pull out the video data, stack it. So it doesn't look too bad. I'll do another capture just in a minute. I don't know whether I should try and capture the top or down at the bottom. I think I'm in focus. Let me just... Yeah, so that colours is just a false colour applied by the ASI capture tool. You can see the bottom right hand of my screen is the sun colour checkbox, and it just does a false colour because I'm using a monochrome camera, so it tries to mimic some sun colour. Let me just give the focuser a nudge and see if we get it any better. I don't think that's too bad there. So what I'll do is I'll capture a 30-second video. Let's go up to the top. And bring that over a bit. Yeah, it looks like a pizza, yeah. Or the surface of an orange, if you look at it closely, under a bright light. It's knocked down again a bit, it's looking a bit... So let me grab a 30-second video of that. See what we can get out of it. Okay, so that's almost the video captured. So if we go over to Astrosurface, this is the software here, and we do open the video file that we've just captured, which is the second one, going by the timestamp. And the first thing we need to do is to register all the frames within the video, and I'll do an analysis on them. So we tell it to detect the disk of the Sun as its region of interest, and then I double click to confirm the region of interest, and I click Analyze, and you'll see the bottom right of that window. It's working its way through the frames. It'll take a bit of time on this little laptop, seeing as it's also doing the image capture and it's also doing the OBS streaming. It's probably pushing it to its limits. While that's doing that, go back here. Still doing its thing. It's just working its way through the frames, as we can see at the top. Trying to pull out the best ones. So there's 1016 frames in this 30-second video. Should have picked algorithm C, that's where I made a mistake here. Anyway, I'll click stack. And here's the stacked image from what we just captured, so I can click edit. It pulls that image into the main editor. And I go up to the wavelets. I select a region of interest just for doing the initial testing. And we can apply some filters. It's too much. That's flattened out too much. And then we can click do all once we're satisfied with the region of interest preview. Do all, and it'll process the whole surface in the same parameters. Click OK, and there's the processed image. And then we can convert the image to a color image, and then we can modify, if I can remember where I did it, the RBG channel gains, I think it was. No. And we can put some false color back into the image. Should have used curves, but never mind. And we can save that image. It's not the best. Alright. So there was some more activity. It seems to have calmed down again in the centre of the sunspotted region. And if we pull up the website Space Weather Live, it'll tell us exactly what's going on the sun. And here's these various sunspots we can see. So this top region here is 3112 and 3116, I think, depending on the orientation of my scope. With the big black sunspot in the middle is 311. So that sunspot here in the middle is solar region 311. 3111. So if I screw up again, you can see the prominences. This big one at the bottom is probably around 3 or 4 Earths tall, I would imagine. Hey Craig, how are you today? Is it raining again in Scotland? You're in Edinburgh, I think, is that right? If I remember. Hey Matthew, welcome to the stream. Yeah, we'll be building up over the next couple of years to the Solar Max. And Mossmink's here as well. Good afternoon. So for those that have missed the beginning there, so the scope today that I'm using is the Lunt LS80MTB1800C, so that's the solar scope, the modular, with the solar module obviously installed. The solar module has one single pressure tuner. I haven't double stacked yet, I couldn't get my hands on a second one. And the camera is the ASI 174mm mono, and it's sitting on top of the Celestron CGX mount. Capturing the images with the ASI Studio's ASI Capture, and I've just been playing around with this Astrosurface software, which is the first time I really used it. I was doing a live stream on Jupiter a couple of nights ago, and one of my viewers, Astro Breda, mentioned it in a comment on a picture I posted on the community page. He talked about Astrosurface. I'd never heard of it, so I downloaded it, took it for a spin, seen as my auto stacker, and Registax in particular, it wasn't working when I was live on Jupiter the other night. So I've been playing around with this Astrosurface. Seems to be pretty good. Day off today, a Monday. Happy Monday. Down at the bottom of the sun, or bottom relative to my view, we do have some solar activity on the rim. If I screw up the gain, you can see there's quite a large prominence on the left and down here on the bottom left. And if we work our way around the sun, what else can we see? Well, there's a large one up here on the top right. Let's head over there and see what's going on. Oh, wrong way. So if I turn the gain back down again, and that one disappears quite quickly. Must be something just round the corner of the disc. Hey Vince, thank you very much. Yeah, twice in a couple of days, can't complain at that. Might as well make use of the equipment while I can. Oh, there's another bird flying past the sun. Hope it wasn't Icarus. Having another pop. I would try and go this. I've got the 2x Barlow in the train at the minute. I do also have a 5x, but I don't have enough adapters to get the right back focus, so I can't get focus on it, unfortunately. If I remove the 2x Barlow, I do get a full disc using this LS80MT. just needs shifting. Don't see any really active flare-ups happening. There's certainly this area here seems to be most active. I think keep seeing this white area brightening up, but nothing really massive is breaking through. I'll be back in a minute. I just need to nip inside and get a drink. Have I missed anything? Cheers, Craig. I don't know if I've got the pressure tuner set right. I don't know if I'm right on what do you call it, on band with the filter. And the focus appears to be the best I can get it. This was using the I'm using a ZW EAF for doing the focus adjustment, and that was using a custom mount that I 3D printed. Let me see. To custom. Yeah, I just popped that link to the custom 3D printed mount in the chat. I don't know if there's something developing in this region here. I'll keep an eye on it. Alright, thanks for coming in. We'll see you again sometime. Have a good day now. Yeah, this is just an impromptu setup. I hadn't planned anything, so I thought if I'm setting up the scope and looking at the sun, I might as well let others see. What's a good budget scope? Very good question, Craig. I wouldn't say I have enough experience to offer advice on things like that. I know a lot of individuals have been going for the likes of the 71s or the 51s, the Red Cats. But there's a lot of more experienced astrophotographers on YouTube that could offer that device. They've got quite a lot of review videos, so it's certainly worth just searching astrophotography budget scopes. Take a look at Astro Biscuit or Astro Backyard, or who's the other ones now? Astro Addict, that's another one. There's quite a few individuals out there that will be able to provide more detailed feedback on the options. I think for a starter scope, definitely a refractor would be easier than a Newtonian. Obviously, if you're wanting planets, you're really looking for obviously a deep focal length. The focal length we can see here for the Sun, that's at I think the native is 540 or 580, and a 2x Barlow on here, so that's roughly 1100 millimeters. A 620mm scope will give full disc. Cameras, there's obviously such a huge choice of cameras out there now. You can't go wrong with any of the ASIs, whether it's the 533 or the 294, I think it is. Look for an ASPC size sensor. Again, it depends what exactly you're trying to do and sort of what other advice others can provide through their reviews. I've actually got a range of scopes for different things. So the one, as I mentioned, for the video for doing the solar view at the moment, that's the Lunt LS80MT. So Lunt do a range of modular telescopes. However, given that they are specialist solar scopes, they are quite pricey. I think this scope's around the $6,000 mark, something like that. I did also purchase the optional module for it to convert it into a night scope. So obviously it removes all the solar elements out of the scope, turns it into a normal deep sky telescope. I also use that with a 0.8 star field reducer, and typically I'll use the ASI 533 one-shot color camera on the solar scope for night use. The scope you can see behind me, I think it's visible, is the RASA 11-inch. So that's a 620mm scope, a very fast scope at f2.2. Again, it's quite a pricey astrograph, so it's not for viewing. There's no eyepiece, it's purely for attaching cameras. The camera goes on the front of it. And I think at the current pricing, that's around about $4,500 to $5,000 for the tube assembly. And then it sits on top of the CGXL mount. Again, I think that's around about a $4,000 mount at the moment. My other scope I've got is a Edge 11, so that's my deep sky scope. That's got a native 2800mm focal length, and I typically use it with the 0.7 reducer on it to take it down to 1960mm. I find that makes it a far more friendly scope. It's not as challenging to use, and it seems to fit some of the more common targets better in the field of view. And I use the RASA and the Edge 11 with ASI 2600MC, again one-shot color cameras. And then the fourth scope I've got, that was actually my first scope. Very rarely use it now, purely because I've got the others set up. I keep meaning to take it back out again, but never get round to it. That's a 8-inch Newtonian by Bresser. Typically you'll use that on top of the CGX mount that I have, or with the Exos 2 mount that came with the scope. Although I feel that that's a bad combination, and I don't think it should have ever been sold in that pairing. By the time you add a camera and by the time you add a guide scope, you've pretty much exceeded the weight capacity of the Exos mount, and you get a lot of vibration and things like that. So I wouldn't recommend that pairing combination. I think they were probably better to have limited it the slightly smaller 800. I think it was an 800mm Newtonian with the Exos 2 mount. Other than that, I've just got a couple of guide scopes. So on the RASA, I use a ZWO 60mm 280mm focal length guide scope with an ASI 120mm camera, and on the Edge 11 I'm using the Celestron off-axis guider and an ASI 174mm mini guide scope for that combination. And then I've also got another guide scope, which is the Bresser AR90 500. And again, I originally used it, or planned to use it with the Newtonian. However, it exceeded the weight capacity, as I say. So I sometimes move it around depending on what I'm trying. And I think that pretty much covers, off the top of my head, all my main pieces of gear. Various other bits and bobs. Yeah, a big flat pizza disc. Certainly the CGX mount seems to be behaving itself today. It's set for solar tracking mode. or tracking speed, and it seems to be just holding position nicely, so it must be aligned alright at the minute. Right, let's pop down the bottom again and see what's going on, if there's any changes. That area seems to be a little bit brighter on the left, but alright Craig, no worries, anytime. Hey lass, how are you today? Hey, there's quite a few large ones around the disc. Let me just screw up the gain and we'll do another tour around the disc. So down on the bottom here, we've got quite a large area here and on the left. And if we follow the disc round, if I go the right way, let's move the scope over a bit. And a large area here on the left. One up at the top. Then there was another large area over on this side. And then down the bottom. No background there, so there's a full disc of what's going on. Yeah, I had a schoolboy error this morning when I was setting up. I'd taken the Edge 11 off the telescope, off the mount, put on the solar scope, and then I was slewing towards the sun, and I couldn't understand why it kept slipping back, until I realised I'd forgotten to take all the counterweights off the mount, so the clutches couldn't hold the imbalance, and was slipping round. So it was a case of return the mount to the home position, drop the counterweights off, and then we're back in business. So I did another live stream as well for anybody who missed it the other night. It's obviously on my feed there. I was on Jupiter using the Edge 11, configured for 7,000 millimeters. No, I haven't tried any time lapses yet. It's something that I need to sit down and have a play and work out what I'm doing. Hi Chris, yes, I'm using the Lunt LS80MT with the B1800 blocking filter and an ASI 174mm mono camera. The solar module is only the single stacked pressure tuner. I don't have a double stack unit for that one yet. They were certainly out of stock, and I need to save some pennies up to buy another one of them. I think they were around about $1,500 or $2,000 for the double stack module. But from what I've been seeing on the surface of the sun, I'm quite pleased with the single stack unit as it stands at the moment. by the time you mess around and balance the gain and the exposure and the pressure within the pressure tuner, just dialing it all in takes a little bit of trial and error. And the only downside is that the pressure tuner is manual. I have to go out to the scope, and then I've got to remote desktop onto my laptop using my phone to see the screen so that I can see what I'm dialing in. So one of my future projects is to come up with another 3D printed assembly that I can mount another focus module, effectively either the ZWO or the Celestron one, and see if I can control the pressure tuner remotely, make things a little bit easier. Yeah, Chris, the software is the ASI Studio, so it's just the ASI capture module. Sometimes I use this, sometimes I use SharpCap, and sometimes I use Fire Capture. I just find that this ASI capture is nice and easy when doing a live stream, although I was doing Fire Capture the other night for Jupiter. That was working okay. And then normally I'll do the processing of the solar images or the planets using AutoStackert and Registax. I was certainly using AutoStackert the other night for Jupiter. I couldn't get Registax to work on my laptop, but kept throwing up some DLL errors, and I don't know why. It stopped working anyway. But today, Astro Breda, that was on the Jupiter live stream the other night, with he made a comment on one of my pictures the next day, mentioned Astrosurface. So I downloaded that this morning, and yeah, I've just been playing around with that on this laptop. It seems to be working out. I just need to try and balance some of the colours and things a bit better, but it seems to be a combination of AutoStackert and Registax in one package, and it seems to work quite well. I dare say I can get it a lot better than that once I know what I'm doing. Yeah, lass, I dare say it depends on how torquey the pressure tuners, the stepper motors are for the focusers. I'll probably take one of the focusers off one of my scopes and try it before I purchase another one, and failing that I'll buy a stepper motor. In fact, I've probably got stepper motors lying around that I've ripped out of printers and things like that in the past, and I can always control it using an Arduino. So yeah, as I say, it's a future project, something to try. I do know there is a pressure tuner module you can get from Lunt, so it's effectively a little air pump that you remove the piston off the pressure tuner, but again, it's quite pricey. I think the last time I looked it was like $1,300 or $1,400, I can't remember off the top of my head, and that's only for a single pressure tuner, so I don't know if you can do both. If you were doing a double stack unit, if you can do both pressure tuners with the one pump, or you need to have two separate pressure tuner pumps, in which case it would start to get very expensive very quickly. Yeah, yikes, that's a big yikes. Hey Bill, how you doing? I'd like to thank you as well, Bill, for all those wonderful PixInsight scripts that you've done with Luke, or that Luke's been sharing. I was playing around with one of them the other night, getting used to it, so particularly the masking and things like that. Yeah, photo processing still not my strong point, so it's still something I'm working on. I just don't have enough time, and going away all the time for half the year and in and out, I tend to forget what I'm doing, and then I watch all these tutorials from all the great processors on YouTube, and it goes in one ear and it's out the other ear by the next morning, unfortunately. But perseverance, we'll just keep plodding away. Well, I look forward to seeing them built. One thing I wish that PixInsight team could implement in their software, I know it's probably a big task to re-engineer their software, but something along the lines of these modular or connected modules like the video processing do. You know, so if you're making a change in your software and you don't like something, or you want to make a slight adjustment further back in your processing, you can take a parallel stream off and make a tweak to an earlier adjustment in a previous task or process, and then it ripples down through the chain again without having to revert back all the images and things like that. But that's the sort of thing that I think would be value adding to the software, but I don't know how easy or difficult it would be for something like that to be implemented in their software. Because sometimes I don't know where I've been doing my processing, where I've destroyed the image with, and it's generally not the last adjustments I've made, it's been somewhere else in the process where I've been far too aggressive. And I tend to end up cloning a lot of images and making adjustments, and then I forget which image was which tweak, and yeah, just a headache. And the other thing I still need to try and sort out is my flats. I'm still not convinced my flats are right. Plus I need to stop being so much lazy and just do flats for each session, which I tend not to do. What's that last? Can the software you're using invert the image live? I often find in pre-processing the image that the sun gets more texture by inverting the colours. I don't know, to be honest. I know the Astrosurface software can invert, because I remember doing that when I was messing around with it. Image tools, levels, white balance, black and white, invert. Yes, you can do it in Astrosurface. I don't know if I can do it on the live. Certainly not with this. I think I can do it in Fire Capture. fact, we can stop this and go across the fire capture if you would like. We'll give fire capture a shot. Yeah, Vantish. Yeah, that orange colour, that's just the sun colour option on ASI Studio, so it's nothing that I've tweaked. I can turn it on and off. Well, there's no inconvenience, lass. No, I don't think the ASI software has contrast autofocus. Where's the autofocus module? No, it's got no autofocusing in it at all. No, nout. Does SharpCap have contrast autofocus, Bill? There seems to be something starting to form up here. I think I'm pretty close to my focus anyway. I've got the focus settings, the fine focus down at 10 steps at the moment, and it's only a couple of clicks either way and it's out of focus, so I think I'm pretty close to focus. Maybe dial in the pressure tuner a little bit and I might sharpen up some of the surface detail, but I'll probably blow it out. Well, let's go into SharpCap, will we? Have a play. Yeah, let's close the camera on here. Let's minimize that. Let's minimize that. And let's go into SharpCap. I had it here somewhere. Let's connect the camera. I need to change the focuser. It's still trying to connect to the cameras. Where's my focuser? ZWO. Never tried to cut. How do I connect my ZW? I've never done that before through SharpCap. ASI mount, ASI SD4, CPWI. I'd probably have to do it through the device hub first, I think. Oh, no, that's the mount. What am I doing? Focuser. ZWO. There we go. I've got focus control. Turn on overshoot. Where's that setting, Bill? If you don't mind me asking. Oh, the backlash compensation, so that's in the focuser settings. Sharp cap settings, hardware, overshoot. I don't know how many steps though. I don't think there's a big. I'm trying to think of what my Nina settings are for backlash. I think it's only around about 25 steps or something. Or is it bigger? I can't remember now. It's Mr. Easy, how are you doing? Are you behaving yourself, Jason? Try 150 steps. Okay. Well, we'll try 150, I've just set that. And then where do you do the little contrast focus? Focus assistant, contrast. What do you reckon? Automatic refocus or contrast edge detection? Contrast. And if I dare say, if I move this region of interest somewhere, there's a good place. It's hot in Cyprus at the moment. Temperatures are up under the scan area. Click the stretch button. Okay, so we need to set up your scan step, so we see an options button next to the scores. An option button next to the scores. It's just a reset. That's not that. Options button next to the scores. Don't see no options button next to the scores. Just a reset button. To the left of the reset button, under the scores. Okay, it looks like it was disabled, that button. Okay, scan step size is 100, max step count is 20, samples to collect to each step is 3. Move to best focus position when scan completes and use smart scanning. Max step count is 20. Okay. So if I know it's not taking much to shift it out of focus, so if we drop the step size, I think that'd be right. So let's do a step count of 50 and the step amounts we will do 10 to start. So step size 50, step count 10. Average score. Yeah, it's on average score. Seems to be doing it. I should have taken a note of what the initial position was. I think it was 28.382 or something like that, or 532 or something. We have to do one more thing, okay? Yeah, you're not wrong there, lass. Bill's been a gentleman and a scholar here today. You learn every day's a school day. I didn't know anything about any of this. Right, go back to my original position. I wish I'd remember what it was. So, how do I stop this, or is it finished? I think it's finished. Right, so, hey, where was my original position? I think my original position was up here somewhere. What was that? 28632. 28632. Right, I think that was the original position. Ah, okay. So I need to take it out of focus below, so well below this 27,000 point, and then come back in, or come back further out. $200 steps. Okay, so that's just taking us out of focus. We're now down at 27,832. Alright, so hit reset. Ignore frames when scan is moving. Okay, And now we scan out. Okay. Now it's 'Yeah. So we weren't far off. It's coming up with 28645, which wasn't far off where I thought we were. Oh, wonderful. Twenty-eight six four five 659. Okay, yeah, the step size was too big. So tools, focus assistant. Oh, let's move back down to the bottom of the sun where we had all that detail. Averaging, ignore frames, average scan, change this to 20, and then take it out of focus. Now it's trying to do it, isn't it? Oh, it's fighting me. Yeah, okay. Max step size 10, scan step size 50. Okay, Bill, yeah, I'll have a play around with that. Two 8661s. We're not far off where we were previously. Excellent. Well, it's another tool to play around with. Okay, good to know. Yeah, so that'll be there once it's got a good curve. All right. Yeah, all the software LS has been working fine under Windows 11. I haven't had any issues on these two laptops running Windows 11. Yeah, thanks very much, Bill. I certainly learned something new today. Yeah, as Lass says, you'll have to show Chuck that tool. He's always messing around with his focus or scared to touch the focus. Reset my screen stretch. Yeah. I think my gain's a little bit high. Something went right through the sun there. Looked like a satellite. I hope it wasn't an ISS transit and I missed it. I don't even know if there's one due. Alright, so I've got to go and pick up a hire car for going back to work tomorrow. So I can either leave the stream running on the sun or I can stop the stream and come back later in about half an hour. But I've got things to do before the hire car place closes again at dinner time. Hey Owen, thank you. I must have been lurking in the background. Okay folks, well I'll end the stream here. I might pick it up again in half an hour or so. As I say, I've got to go and pick up a hire car, get a couple of things, so I'll probably be away for about half an hour or so. So I'll just shut the stream down and thank you all for watching, and most of all thank you very much indeed to Bill. Bill is, let's just call him an expert guru, shall we? And whether it's this or all his PixInsight tools and things, you should go and check him out. And thank you very much for your assistance this afternoon, Bill. You're a gentleman and a scholar. And thanks everybody for participating. It's I do enjoy just messing around and sharing what I'm doing and picking up all these tips and tricks from everybody who seems or who are more knowledgeable than I am. So thank you all and have a nice day, and we'll catch you later. Thank you very much for watching.